Hello, I'm Scott Davis, and welcome to New World Birth. This is the weekly neutrino forecast for September 21st to September 27th of 2014. On September 21st, we have the Sun. It's in late Virgo. It's in the 6th hexagram, and you can see it represented here with these stacks of lines that are numbered from the bottom to the top. The 6th hexagram, it goes yin, yang, yin, yang, yang, yang. And the 6th hexagram is then mapped to an opening in an energy channel called the gate. And right here we have the 6th gate of friction, conflict, the fundamental design component of progress, the law that growth cannot exist without friction. It's located in the solar plexus center in a tribal energy path in the defense circuit called the channel of mating, a design of focused on reproduction that connects to the 59th gate of sexuality, dispersion, the ability to break down barriers to achieve union. And I found human design to be amazingly accurate in describing the person that I use it as my primary tool when I provide readings. And we have the following activated gates on the 21st. We have the Sun in the 6th gate. The Earth is in the 36th. The North Node is in the 57. The South Node and retrograde Uranus are in the 51. Mercury is in the 32, Venus is in the 47, Mars is in the 34, and then we've got Jupiter in the 7th gate, Saturn in the 43. We've already mentioned Uranus, but we have retrograde Neptune is in the 55. And Pluto is stationed, means that it's at a standstill as it's just about to turn direct on the 22nd, and it is in the 38th gate. So obviously not every gate activation forms a channel, but this information can be very helpful if you know your human design chart, because some of these transits form channels with potentials in your personal body graph. And you can get your human design chart by going to jovianarchive.com, click on the button that says Get Your Free Rave Chart, and enter in your birth information. So the neutrino forecast is just a weather report, and no matter what the weather is, your individual strategy and authority is the correct choice to have an authentic experience regardless of the program. And as Ra Uru Hu said, whatever the weather is going to be, you have your neutrino umbrella. As long as you're experimenting with your strategy and authority, the weather is for your pleasure. And we begin the week with one channel definition due to the transit field. We have Mars in the 34th hexagram, and the North Node is in the 57, which gives us the channel of power, which is the design of an archetype, which is going to be with us until September 22nd. And this channel brings an attunement to the body to have an acute early warning system to anything in the immediate environment. This increases our intuitive awareness through the power of a sacral response. This may affect folks to feel on guard or alert to any dangers in the moment. This is an animal instinct to engage in battle or jump out of the way with split-second response from our attunement to sound and vibration. People will be more in tune with what's being said and from the tone of the voice of the speaker rather than just the words being spoken. Sometimes this is experienced as a coolness by others. But this is an individual channel of survival. It represents the archetype of what it is to be human. And the defined splenic center brings intuition and well-being. Ra warned that non-splenic people may let go of something that is good for them during a transit, defining the splenic center. And then the sacral definition affects non-generator types in feeling busy and having the endurance to work. Don't get used to it. And this is an individual circuitry, this definition brings this quality of melancholy, sort of feeling blue, which is best utilized by channeling it into some form of creative activity. We're going to be looking at the Sun's rave I Ching line values daily, because 70% of the neutrinos we receive come from the sun, as Ross said in Living with the Program, the lines of the day. When talking about these daily shifts of line values, he said we can always take advantage of the themes of the day. Now, if your strategy and authority doesn't lead you in that direction, you can always notice how the program's affecting others in your environment. So let's get started. September 21st begins with the sun in the 6th hexagram, and it's up here in the 6th line, the role model line. This is the peacemaker, the discipline and integrity of a superior force to unilaterally cease conflict to permit surrender and survival of the foe, exalted the highest form of reason that life is sacred. The emotional power to end conflict, tempered by feelings and sensitivity to others, detriment the peacemaker whose actions are just but whose terms are unacceptable. The emotional power to end conflict, but only after one's conditions have been satisfied. And it's the 6th line. We're up here on the roof of the hexagram. Think about being on the roof of a house. You're not really looking at the house so much as everything that's in the neighborhood. And Ra talks about not getting stuck with your head in the clouds, because something will run into your shins or your kneecaps on a 6th line day. So it's a day where there can be a lack of focus on what's going on around us. Folks might be looking beyond their immediate environment, looking beyond what's happening in the present moment. And like 3rd line days, there can be certain dangers of not seeing a car coming, not seeing a bill coming. Later on the 21st, the sun moves from the 6th hexagram to the 46th. And the Earth also moves from the 36 to the 25, which gives us a definition with a defined ego center and a defined G center. We have the Earth is in the 25th gate of the spirit of the self, innocence, the perfection of action through uncontrived and spontaneous nature. The shift happens at 3:33 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, and all the times I'm going to be giving you are going to be Eastern Daylight Time, so you want to convert that to your local time zone. We have the sun. It's in the 46th gate, in the 1st line. The 46th gate is the determination of the self, pushing upwards. Good fortune that may be perceived as the result of serendipity, but derives from effort and dedication. And the sun is in, like I said, the 1st line is in the investigative line of the 46th, being discovered. Dedication in obscurity that is unexpectedly discovered, exalted. The art for art's sake, any creative endeavor that is self-fulfilling sooner or later is recognized. The potential for creative success through dedication. Detrimented, the ability to judge the potential of those in obscurity, but often solely for the benefit of one's own success. The determination to recognize and benefit from the success of others. So we're in a new hexagram. The 1st, 2nd, and 3rd lines are really more days when people are looking inward, absorbed in their own process. And the theme for the 1st line day, the investigator, is fear or some kind of anxiety that needs to be investigated. So it might be a day to study, not so much to act, to look into things, but not to jump. It might be a good day to deal with something you don't understand, can't make sense of, or don't know. And with the Earth in the 25th gate and the South Node and Uranus in the 51, we have the channel of initiation, a design of needing to be first until the 26th, where we might experience some sort of leap into the unknown. This is an individual channel that empowers through courage to take a chance on something unknown and deal with the consequences afterwards. Obviously, following your strategy and authority will help you to determine if this initiation is correct for you, or if faced with multiple possibilities to experience a quantum shift, which ones, if any, are correct for you. In the mundane world, we're likely to see people become more competitive, pushing the boundaries, getting outside of their comfort zones. which will be shocking to themselves and others. As they feel the wonder of their own unique spirit. And if you're experiencing people acting unpredictable during this time period, just recognize that it's just for a few days, and then this conditioning force will move on. This could seem that folks are less in balance while experiencing this foreign energetic. And of course, again, individual circuitry is going to affect people with melancholy or blue feelings that are really not time to eat bonbons sitting on the couch watching TV. It's time to channel that energy into something that's creative. And then on the 22nd, so advance forward. On the 22nd, the sun moves into the second line. Again, we're in the 46th hexagram. The shift happens at 2:33 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. The sun's exalted in the 46-2 and is described as the prima donna. Exalted, a difficult and demanding nature that succeeds despite its behavior because of the depth of its talents. The determination to succeed when that may offend others. And second line days, so now we're in the line of the hermit up here. Second line days, people are waiting to be called. They might be stuck in just what's going on, and so it might not be the best day to have a huge social event, because folks are probably more likely just to want to stay at their hermitage or at home during this second line energy. And then also on the 22nd, Mars moves from the 34 and into the 9. Which means this is no longer defined. And retrograde Uranus moves from the 51, leaving behind the south node still in the 51, so we keep that definition, but it's backing into the 21. And so let's start with Mars. Mars is in the gate of focus. Right here, the taming power of the small, potential that can be fulfilled through detailed attention to all pertinent aspects. And Mars is detrimented in the first and fourth lines of the 9th hexagram. And in the first line, it's sensibility. Which is moving direct, so we're in the line of sensibility, a balanced and responsible approach to problem solving. Detrimented, like we said before, after a hasty and frustrated search, the urge to kick the door in when the key is in your pocket, the power to generate that which will lose its focus. And Ra talked about Mars being an extraordinary an immature energy resource that lacks refinement and is subject to outbursts. And Mars represents the warrior archetype. And by following our strategy and authority, we slowly refine the energy of our design and personality, Mars, from immaturity to wisdom. And then also on the 22nd, we've got Uranus moving from the 51 to the 21. Uranus' unusualness, the evolutionary mutative undercurrent to expand our lifespan, new patterns in life, subjective, objective, transcendent, the light in the window of our time. And it's in the gate of the hunter or huntress, biting through, the justified and necessary use of power in overcoming deliberate and persistent interference. And since Uranus is retrograde, it's going to be backing into the 6th line of the 21, which is chaos, where ineffective action leads to disorder. Exalted, the war of attrition, the continuance of legitimate action in hope of eventually succeeding despite all odds. the increasing disorder. Where the ego is out of touch, the display of willpower leads to disorder, detrimented withdrawal and reliance on inner order in a chaotic situation. Where the material direction is chaotic, the ego will withdraw and use its power to find inner order. And then on the 23rd, the sun moves into the third line. So now we're up into the third line, again, 46 hexagram. The shift happening at 1:32 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. And this is projection, exalted, a practical approach to good fortune that maintains the same patterns and attitudes that brought success and does not get sidetracked by indulging in further expectations. The determination to stay with what brings success. Detrimented, a tendency through projection to treat a potential future as the present, leading to unjustified egotism and the loss of momentum and support. The determination to treat a projected success as reality. And so we're in a third line energy now, the line of the martyr. So, martyr themes are bonds made and broken, trial and error process, a system of discovery by figuring out what doesn't work. So it's definitely a material day, so you got to be careful on the roads, careful what's in your environment, whether it's a swinging door or somebody's elbow. It's a day where we might have bonds made and broken. It's about a trial and error process where things can bump into you on the material plane. But you have to be careful because, some of these things could go wrong. But those things that do go wrong are there to lead us to discovery. Also on the 23rd, Mercury moves from the 32 to the 50. And Venus moves from the 47 to the 6. All right. Hopefully everybody's hanging in there. So let's talk about it. Let's start with Mercury. I heard that. All right, and let's start with Mercury. Mercury is the messenger of the gods. It's communications, expansion of human consciousness through communication, and not just as words. But Ra talks about that it's communication through music as well. And what do we need to communicate in life? Well, we communicate the message of our design Mercury through the medium of our personality Mercury. And what might be communicated when Mercury is in the 50 might be, do we have the correct rules for caring? Are we afraid of the responsibility for nurturing others? This is the gate of values, the cauldron. The values of historical continuity, whose traditional values serve and enrich the present and the future. And Mercury is in the first line of the 50. The first line of the 50 is the immigrant, humbleness of origin that benefits rather than restricts destiny, exalted the desire to be effective and successful that builds on the most fundamental strengths while it refines its nature. The awareness that the growth and refinement of values will benefit destiny, detriment, dissatisfaction with or embarrassing with origins that makes an obsession of refinement, dissatisfaction with original values that demands refinement. And then also we have Venus, and it's moved from the 47 to the 6. so we have mirror images here. In human design, Venus is very powerful, deeply misunderstood according to Ra. It brings morality, natural law in which we deal with the other and the consequences of the world around us. And what disturbs you at a moral level? Well, your design and personality Venuses tell you about the moral dilemma that you're going to work with in this life. And if you do not act with moral clarity, Venus can be unkind in its retribution. Venus in the sixth gate it is the gate of friction, conflict, the fundamental design component of progress, the law that growth cannot exist without friction. And Venus is exalted in the second and fifth lines of the sixth hexagram and detrimented in the sixth line. Venus in the 6-1 is retreat, the realization that that wasting one's resources against overwhelming odds is not courage but folly. Exalted, the power of generation that can embrace retreat as a phase and not a failure. The emotional stability to accept conflict. Detrimented, the inferiority complex, where retreat is experienced as personal weakness. Emotional instability in times of conflict. And then on the 24th, the sun moves into the fourth line. So up here in the fourth line of the 46 hexagram, the shift being at 31 minutes after midnight Eastern Daylight Time, where it's described as impact, exalted, the ability once recognized to move rapidly from a position of obscurity to influence, the good luck which comes from being determined that eventually is in the right place at the right time, leading to recognition. Detrimented, a reaction in achievement that tends to bite off the hand that fed it. The determination in success to ignore those that help create it. And fourth line days, we're shifting from the lower trigram of the first, second, third line to the upper trigram of the fourth, fifth, and sixth line. The lower trigram is more personal. The upper trigram is transpersonal. So what we're looking at is with the fourth line, we're changing our perspective from an inward perspective to more looking outward. Fourth line themes, we've got friendship, companionship, networking. Fourth line days are great for social interactions. People are more open to networking and being friendly and social. And then later on the 24th, the sun then moves into the fifth line, the heretical line, again, 46 hexagram. And this shift happens at 11:23 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, so just a little bit before midnight on the 24th. And the sun in the 46.5 is described as pacing, exalted, the maintenance of proper rhythm that in its instinctive practicality avoids radical divergence from successful patterns. The determination to stay with the rhythm which brings success. Detrimented, an irrational rejection of the very patterns that have proven successful. Determination to say no to the very rhythm that brings success. And fifth line days, okay, we've gone from the line of the opportunist to the line of the heretic. The fifth line is a day is heretical. It's a day of suspicion. It's a day where something can leak out and spread very rapidly, like a virus, such as some kind of YouTube video or a Facebook post where there's just a lot of views. It's also there's a great deal of suspicion and paranoia on the fifth line day, which impacts the nature of relationships. And we're talking about also projection here, and seduction are themes. And with projection, the projection is always positive. that they could do it, they'd be great at it, whatever, and then if it doesn't get done for whatever reason, the projection turns negative and the punishment comes. And it's not really paranoia if they're really out to get you. All right, so on the 25th, we have the sun moving into the 6th line of the 46 hexagram. The shift happening at 10:26 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. The sun in the 46.6 is integrity, exalted, the wisdom to secure one's identity through careful consideration of the restrictive potential of commitment, the determination to say no to restrictive commitments, detrimented, deceiving oneself and others by overextending one's resources, and eventually being in a position of having to break promises. A drive for success that will not say no and will end up breaking promises. And we talked about 6 line days at the beginning of the report, being on the roof of the hexagram, looking beyond the immediate environment and thus not necessarily seeing what's happening right in our immediate environment. And then on the 26th, we have the sun moving from the 46 to the 18, and we have with that we have the Earth moving to the 17. So this definition is no longer there, so let's start with the Earth. It's in the 17th gate of opinions, following the ancient law that those who wish to rule must know how to serve. The shift happens at 9:23 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, with the sun in the 18th gate of correction. Work on what has been spoiled. The vigilance and determination to uphold and defend basic and fundamental human rights. The sun is in the first line, the investigative line of the 18, which is conservatism, the adherence to traditional patterns despite and or in spite of changing circumstances, exalted, gradual modification to avoid eventual upheaval, the potential to correct through gradual modification, detrimented, the patriarch whose rigidity guarantees deterioration, the potential to refuse to correct. And again, so now we're in the first line, lower trigram, focus now turns more inward. And we talked about it, first line investigating, that anxiety or fear triggers the need to research something with that energy. And then on the 27th, we have the sun moving into the second line, into the hermit line of the 18th hexagram, the shift happening at 8:19 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. The sun in the 18:2 is described as terminal disease, the recognition that what has been spoiled is irreversible, exalted acceptance and strength derived from faith in spiritual regeneration, the acceptance that there is no potential for correction, detrimented, the futile raging against the wind, the refusal to accept that there is no potential for correction. And second line days, again, people are waiting for something. They're waiting to be called. Not a huge social day. People are more focused on staying at home under this energy. And so the sun has begun moving through the 46 and the 18 and the 48 and then the 57, which are the gates associated with the Christ God's head, meaning the anointed one. Christ consciousness represents the third phase of the God's heads of the quarter of duality, which is about purpose fulfilled through bonding. The quarter is about intimacy and having someone to bond with, which is essential to keeping human life going and the survival of the human race. So let's look at each hexagram for clues about the Christ consciousness Godhead. So we've got the 46, which is pushing upward. And it's where in duality, this would be with another. This is a gate of love. It's love of the body. This is good fortune, being in the right place at the right time, non-threatening competition, waiting for an inner response that determines it's to have an experience that starts from inside, succeeding where others fail, failing where others succeed. It's about what you discover about the essential nature of love, your highest self, the best you, your magic. And then the 18 is about working on what's been spoiled. It brings authority and the fear of authority, with the ultimate authority being God. This is the gate of correction and challenging authority. Its job is to judge what is correct and what is not correct, to bring perfection. What is legal and what is a crime. And then we have the 48, which is the well, depth, but also inadequacy. The fear of inadequate authorities or corrupt authorities on a secular level. And it's about establishing what is the common good. And then last we have the 57, the gentle, intuitive clarity in the now, and the fear of tomorrow and the unknown. This is about survival or not, or empowerment or not. The bedrock of civilization is the bond of duality. Humanity survives and thrives through bonding. Love thy neighbor as thyself. This brings a shift in thinking about from survival through aggressiveness, which we saw early in the development of humans, to considering non-threatening competition leading to everyone succeeding. In the program, it's the mind declaring that there is the one true, that the mind itself is the one true God, and it is the authority over the form. And as we've seen in the past, each God's head is about the mind gaining and maintaining control, and each of them shares a certain theme of control. Now, of course, through following our strategy and honoring our authority, we can return control to where it belongs. And no matter what energies are conditioning you during the week, remember this is an experience about being a passenger, riding in the vehicle, driven by the magnetic monopole. So enjoy the scenery. Let the vehicle take you where you need to go through using your strategy and authority. Every single day we have is a blessing, no matter what the dramas are that beckon to distract us. We're all here giving the performance of our lifetime on this world stage. Just take some time to observe the play as well as act your part. Remember, you're a spiritual being that's having a human experience. I want to thank you for checking out New World Birth. And the next segment of the weekly neutrino forecast will be on September 28th of 2014. It should be available on the 27th, when we're going to continue to look at the influence of the heavenly bodies as they transit the sky and the hexagrams of the I Ching. You can check us out on Facebook, Blogger, or YouTube, and I encourage you to feel free to message me at newworldbirth@yahoo.com if you have any questions or wish to schedule a reading. Up here, and also you can also I also encourage you to share this information if you wish as text or videos as widely as you choose. I'm going to be discussing the transits of October 2014 and providing some short human design readings to the participants of the Earth Meets Rebels show on Truth Frequency Radio on Wednesday, October 1st. You feel free to contact me again at newworldbirth@yahoo.com if you need any more instructions on that, or if you have questions about what we're sharing here, or if you wish to schedule a reading. And if you've been thinking about getting a reading, please contact me. I would love to provide you a reading during these uncertain times. You'll need to be either able to call me in Maine in the USA, or we can connect with Skype to receive your reading. And we're also accepting donations to try to keep these reports freely available. You can make a donation by going to PayPal and making a donation to the newworldbirth@yahoo.com account. Or just contact me. I'll give you other directions if you need other directions, or get a reading. Best way I think to make a donation here and you'll get something that really benefits you. My readings are pretty epic, usually running at least 2 hours, often longer than that. As always, I'm blessed that you've taken the time to connect with my passion for these ancient mysteries and their application to our journey during this incarnation. The light in me honors the light in you. Namaste, in Lakesh, and as Ra would say, love yourself, and thanks so much for your attention to this. And I look forward to connecting with you in a reading, on the radio show, or a future video. Thanks, everybody. Peace.